Hey, it's me. Did you know that the fastest way to your success, to your dreams, is a straight line directly through the center of your fears? When you expose fear for the liar it is, you're going to render fear powerless and your life's going to change. And you're going to be able to go after your dreams. You're going to be able to get your dreams. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about breaking up with fear, so to speak. To telling fear, you're a liar and you're no longer welcome here in my life anymore. Get out. But I want to start with a request. I want you to send me a pound of fear. You can bring it to me. You can mail it to me. Just get me a pound of fear, will you? Will you? What? You can't do that? Of course you can't. You can't feel fear. You can't touch it or pick it up because fear doesn't exist. It's not real, except in your mind. Fear resides in your mind because you choose to give it residence in your mind. Today we're going to kick it out. Did you know the first way that fear lies to you is that it creates false limitations to your abilities to perform? Did you ever hear of the flea experiment? It's basically an experiment about trying to convince you can perform beyond what you're conditioned to perform. See, fear says you can't achieve your dreams, and it limits your thinking and your perception of your abilities. The flea experiment is fascinating. Scientists took a jar and they put fleas in the jar, and they're jumping fleas. They jump and they hit the lid of the jar repeatedly. Finally, the scientists took the lid, also known as fear, they removed it, and the fleas jumped just shy of the lid. You see, they have little minds, these fleas, and they didn't want to hit themselves, so they just kept jumping up to the lid, but the lid wasn't there anymore. See, when we remove fear from your life, you're going to have to recondition your beliefs in yourself and your abilities to perform. I remember when Denise and I started our stream business 8 years ago. We hit it really hard, and in 18 months, we created a pretty respectable passive residual income. Like, we thought we had arrived. We did it. It was paying the bills, and I remember going to a meeting and meeting one of the leaders from Texas. And we said, hey, isn't this great? Look what happened. We created this and we've arrived. We've done it. And he looks at me. I'm not going to say who it was. He looks at me and says, why don't you just keep doing it and add a zero to the number? I said, what you talking about? He said, why don't you just keep doing what you're doing and add a zero? And I looked at him, and he was serious. And I realized that he was making that statement based on his experience in his life and the lives of many others who he has coached. And we did it. We actually believed him, and we blew that residual up several times what it was. And we realized we were having our performance, our own perception of our performance abilities reprogrammed now that fear had been taken away. And I don't know why we had those other limitations, but you know how fear acts, how fear talks to you. He says, well, that's new in your life. You guys have no knowledge in that task. How are you going to do that? Or maybe we were limited based on the town we grew up in, or our parents' occupations, or our education or lack thereof. Whatever it was, environment, upbringing, we had to reprogram our own perception of our abilities to achieve our dreams. And he did it that day. It was amazing. Now, the second way fear lies to you is it says to you that if you take that step out of your comfort zone, something really scary is going to happen. Something terrifying. And it's just not true. It's illustrated so effectively from a 2004 movie called The Village by M. Night Shyamalan. It's a psychological thriller, a horror flick based around a isolated Pennsylvania town of pilgrims. Neat little town. Everybody had enough food, water, shelter, very protective, very safe town, and except really no individualism. Nobody could really think for themselves or achieve their dreams, pursue what they wanted. And there was one indisputable rule of that town. And the pilgrims had to face the terrifying prospect that outside the borders of that town were monsters in the woods. Now, the monsters never came into the town as long as the townspeople agreed to keep the age-old pact to never wander into the woods. Everybody lived safely in their comfort zone. Excuse me. But one day, a precocious young lad named Lucius decided to break all the rules. He wandered out of the comfort zone of the town into the woods, and he found nothing. Ain't no monsters in them there woods. He found freedom. You see, the mayor of the town, William Hurt, the actor, he had taught everyone since they were little that there was monsters in the woods. He's also known as fear in our lives, lying to us to keep us in that comfort zone from experience the true freedom that Lucian found when he wandered into the woods, when he faced that fear. And it didn't stop there. Lucian went back to the townspeople who he loved, and he said, listen, ain't no monsters in the woods. We can pursue our dreams. We can create our own town. It doesn't have to be like this town that we don't like. And that's what often happens when you leave your comfort zone to pursue your dreams. You bring other people with you because they're emboldened by the fact that you faced your fears and saw that there ain't no monsters in the woods. So there's two questions that come out of this. Number one, is Mayor still the fear of your mind? If so, you're like those townspeople. You're stuck, guys. You're stuck in that town. Everything's going to be the same. You can't pursue your dreams. We're going to change that today. Secondly, as you saw, when you pursue your dreams, you bring other people with you along the way. I remember when 8 years ago, I had a vending route, and through a weird series of events, I got locked inside my own vending van. I was going in for some supplies, the wind blew the door shut, and there were child protective cage between the front and the back and child protective locks. I was locked in my own van on a 90-degree day for 25 minutes. And you know, I think the good Lord let that happen for me to evaluate a lot of things. It was very symbolic. I was trapped in my van. Of course, I did the next best thing. I banged on the windows and said, let me out, let me out. An 80-year-old woman ran faster than I ever saw an 80-year-old woman run. Fortunately, a more open-minded 35-year-old woman let me out of my own van. Quite embarrassing. And there was nothing more profound than when I was out gasping in that fresh air, except for the fact that I was a loser. Well, maybe I wasn't a loser. I felt like a loser because I had no goals, no aspirations. Thank God for my wife, who always told me, you could do more than just scoop dirty quarters out of vending machines. I thought a lot. About a week later, I was at my therapist. Oh, I meant counselor, sorry. I was working through a few issues. Don't judge me. And Alice said to me, I said to her, this next thing has to work, Alice, this stream thing. She said, another thing? See, I was a jack of all trades and a master of none because I had fears. I didn't overcome my fears at that point. And then she said something to me that changed my life forever. She asked me a question no one had ever asked me. Mike, when's the last time you ever got on your knees and asked God to bless your business and your life? I said, who does that? It's kind of selfish. She said, actually, no. God wants you to rely on him and call upon him. I said, wow, okay. So I get to an isolated place in my house. No one's around. Pretty tearful prayer. I asked God to change my life, to bless me as a better father, to make me a better provider, a better husband. Didn't ask for wealth or riches. Just asked him to bless my life, help me be a better person. I got to tell you, I got up. You can check the records on this if you don't believe it. I still don't believe it. Within 3 months and 3 weeks, over 1,000 people joined our stream business. And it wasn't a promotion or anything like that. They paid to join. I didn't understand what happened. We were confused. How could this happen? Suddenly we realized, you know, as in any network marketing, you turn to your upline. We had turned to our true upline, the greatest network marketer in world history. 2,000 years ago, he sponsored 12 average men into his network and grew the downline into billions. And we realized that as time went on, because we faced our fears, we brought in about 100 people who brought in over 8,000 people. And just like Lucian drug people out of that forest when he faced his fears, hundreds of people changed their lives because we stepped out of our comfort zone. I think of the biography of Mike Lindell. You've probably seen him on TV. The pillow guy, My Pillow. The guy goes to sleep one day, wakes up with a dream about the perfect pillow. Like, who does that? Seriously? But he created, after 90 attempts, the perfect pillow. It never goes flat, stays cold all the time. And his biography is fascinating. He mortgaged his house to try to get this pillow out into the public. Very difficult. He couldn't sell the pillow. He tried kiosks in the mall, didn't work. He tried everything. Finally, one person from that kiosk who bought the pillow said, you ought to try home and garden shows. So he does. Tries home and garden, starts to sell. But he had a lot of other hurdles. One of them was he was a crack addict, alcoholic, addicted sports bettor, multiple run-ins with the law. Like, this is a serious hurdle, right? Mike Lindell, the pillow guy that you see on TV, was a crack addict. The turning point in his life, his own drug dealers held an intervention for him. Like, when does that happen, guys? Seriously. After a 2-week binge of not sleeping and doing drugs, they held an intervention. They said, we're not selling you any more drugs, bro. He realized he was at a turning point, and he turned to the Lord. He turned to God and said, God, I'm addicted to everything. Please take this away from me. Next day, miraculously, he gets up. He has no more addictions, no more desire to do drugs or anything. And he pledged to live his life for God, and he started growing his business. He found out that if he borrowed more money from his friends and family, they could actually do infomercials. The thought was sparked because the Minnesota Tribune newspaper did a human interest story on him, and people started buying a pillow. So they put together an infomercial using themselves as the actors, right? And not unlike the ones you see every day on TV now. And the pillow started taking off. It's almost $1 billion business today. He makes 75,000 pillows a day. They sold over 30 million pillows. But again, what do you see happening when you face your fears and step into the woods? He had hurdles, but there were no scary monsters. And when he started to be successful, he brought other people out of that mental prison, right? He employs over 1,500 people, which means he affects about 6,000 people with the family members. And when someone is in his employment struggles or having a bout with drugs or this, that, he doesn't fire them. He rehabilitates them, and he changes their life. He actually started the Mike Lindell Foundation, which helps the poorest of the poor around the world. Suffice to say, another example, when you step into your comfort zone and pursue your dreams, you affect so many thousands of other people. And it doesn't have to be business. There's a girl that we know called Keisha May. She went public on Facebook recently, and she was afraid to do it. She wanted to stop smoking, and she wanted everybody to keep her accountable because she wanted her kids to see she could overcome smoking. She was afraid to do it, but isn't that what courage is? It's not the absence of fear, but acting in the midst of fear. I called her the other day, 6 weeks smoke-free. She's ecstatic. How about Lisa? We'll call this person Lisa. Lisa shared with us the other day, she was in a 23-year loveless marriage. Husband was cheating on her. Her life was falling apart, but she would never give up. She would pray constantly on her knees that the Lord would change her husband and put forgiveness in her own heart. But she had enough. She went to see a lawyer, opened a bank account, but she wanted to keep trying. She kept facing her fears. And one day she goes to church. Who's in church? Her husband. They're both touched by the sermon so profoundly. They look at each other and said, I love you. Let's start again. I forgive you. The man was a changed individual somehow. He's in counseling. He's calling himself an idiot. He a dirtbag. Like, he's very repentant. He wants to put the ring on her finger again. It was truly a miracle because Lisa kept facing her fears and never gave up. How about Michelle? Denise and I first met Michelle in a lobby in Ohio after I spoke at an event. Michelle has tears coming down her eyes. Like, Michelle, what's the matter? She said, Mike, at the end of your message, when you told people to get on your knees and ask God to come in your life and change it, I ran out of the lobby into the women's room and I got on my knees and asked God to change my family because my husband's addicted to drugs. He's ruining the family. It's so painful. 6 months later, he's in rehab. It's not all cured yet. It's very difficult, but she's not giving up. And again, courage is not the absence of fear. It's acting in the midst of it. So just stories motivate me. They just motivate me. Now, the third way that fear lies to you is that it says to you, when you do step out of your comfort zone and pursue your dreams and you fail, you're not going to be able to handle your family and friends' criticism. They may even laugh at you and say, I told you so. Well, I got to tell you, you'll get over it. It doesn't kill you. Think about this. If you fail multiple times at something, are you a failure? I ask you that question. Are you a failure? Your family and friends may think you are, but I say no way. You're an entrepreneur doing what entrepreneurs do. They fail again and again, pursuing their dreams. You're not a failure. But think about Michael Jordan for a minute. The guy failed. I don't know if you knew this. The guy failed the high school basketball team, locked his room when he didn't make tryouts, locked himself in his room, and cried. Henry Ford went bankrupt 3 times. Colonel Sanders opened his first chicken store at KFC at 67. So you're never too old to pursue your dreams. Can you imagine if he didn't create KFC? Holy cow, life without KFC? Sorry, don't want to ramble here. Walt Disney, come on. His own editor said you lacked imagination and had no real ideas. People tell you things. People laugh at you. Albert Einstein, he couldn't speak until he was 4. He couldn't read till he was 7. And his own teacher said, you're too stupid to learn. Guys, entrepreneurs fail over and over again. But you know what else happens? People watch you as you fail. It's like a story. They don't have the guts to perform themselves, so they live vicariously through you. I remember when I was attempting to get licensed as a public insurance adjuster, and I failed the test. Then I failed it again. On the 4th time of failing it, my son asks me, Dad, what are you going to do? And I realized everybody's watching me fail. Friends, family, how'd you do on the test? I failed. It was driving me crazy. Didn't know what to do. Finally, when my son asked me, what are you going to do, Dad? You failed it a 4th time. I said, Mike, if I fail it 100 times, I will take it 101 times. I realized I'm on stage now. But on the 5th time, failed it again. 6th time, failed it again. Passed it on the 7th time. And my son saw that attitude was 90% of success. That persistence beats talent every time. So when they're watching you, you can turn this into a life-changing event for them. Don't forget that. Entrepreneurs fail over and over again. But let me talk to you about the third way. I want to elaborate on this a little more here. You see, my inspiration for never stopping and facing my fears was by a guy whose fiance killed herself. She died. And he was distraught. He then decided to go into business. And he failed. Then he failed again. Then he had a nervous breakdown. Then he decided, after all that, to run for public office. Can you imagine what his family and friends were saying? Dude, I don't know if they call him dude. Dude, your fiance just died. And you're going to start a business? Your head's not right. Dude, you failed. The business failed. And you're going to start another business? Dude, you had a nervous breakdown because your fiance died and you failed in business twice. Give it up. You're really going to run for public office? Dude, you failed the election. You didn't get elected. You know why? Because they view you as weak. Your fiance died. You failed in business twice. You had a nervous breakdown. Give it up. He goes for a second election, a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. He failed 8 elections. Talk about failure, people watching you, people mocking you. Guys, I'm so glad Abraham Lincoln The 16th president of the United States did not give up because he was instrumental in the abolition of slavery, affecting the lives of millions of people. You see, when you step out of your comfort zone to pursue your dreams, you change hundreds, thousands, in his case, millions of lives. Are you ready? Are you ready to lead captives out of the prison of their own fears? That's what's going to happen. See, it's bigger than just you. It's more than just about your dreams. Now, Abraham Lincoln took a bullet in the back of the head for his dreams. And you and I are afraid to pick up the phone sometimes and grow our business? Seriously? But here's a better example. Teddy Roosevelt wrote a book in 1901 called The Free Citizen. I'm going to read to you something that is so profound that in 1901, he had the same thoughts that we're sharing now. He said, every man should not merely criticize the actions of others. The real service is rendered by the person in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, who fails continuously. But the one who actually strives to do the deeds, who spends himself in a worthy cause, pursuing his dreams, if he fails, now hang with me, this is profound. If he fails while daring greatly, his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory or defeat. Wow. Teddy Roosevelt is saying, if you've never failed, you've never lived. That whether you experience the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat, you're better than all the people in the stands who don't have the guts to do anything but watch. That you who have dirt on your face, cuts on your hands, blood on your lips, you're better than all the losers in the stands who do nothing but criticize. These are the people that will die with two words on their lips. What if? What if I only took a shot at my dreams? How many other people's lives would I have changed? Not you. That's not going to be you. I want to put a picture in your mind. I want this to last forever. Imagine you're standing in front of a 3-story building and it's on fire. The fire is time and the building is your life. And it's burning up quickly, guys. Looking out at you from the 3rd-story window with a seriously concerned but hopeful look on their face are your dreams. They're saying, don't wait. The fire's burning. Come rescue us. What are you going to do? I'm asking you now, what are you going to do? Make a decision now. Alan DeMoss says it best, and you're leaders, guys. Leaders don't run away from the fire. They run toward the fire because they know that their dreams are on the other side of that fire, that their future is on the other side of their fears. Your dreams are on the other side of this fire. Your future is on the other side of your fears. Guys, tell fear it's over. I don't believe you anymore. You're a liar. Not welcome here in my life anymore. Do not return. And you're not going to be the ones who die with what if on their lips. You're going to be the ones that go into the next world saying, I am so glad I did because I changed my life. I found my dreams and I changed the lives of everyone around me. Guys, fear's a liar. Go grab your dreams. Thanks for listening.
They say that life truly begins where your comfort zone ends. Well, I've always wondered if that was true until one day I actually took that step out of my own comfort zone and watched my life transform in every way. New opportunities and new challenges came at me from every direction. And by the grace of God, I went from servicing vending machines to becoming a top 25 income earner in an $8 billion network marketing company. It was transformational. It was life-altering. Now, I teach others how to get out of their comfort zones. If you're watching this video, chances are you know something needs to change in you or your business. If you want your sales teams to break boundaries, if you want your network marketing team to grow exponentially, if you want your church group to be on fire with a new boldness, then I'm going to show them not just how to do it, I'm going to show them how I actually did it. If you're tired of the word average, in fact, if you hate the word average, call me and I'm going to make you very uncomfortable. And then I'm going to make you very successful because I'm going to make you fear nothing. My name is Michael V. Foti.
Good morning.